So you've done the sleep studies, the medicine, the supplements, the specialists who charge $2,000 to tell you to avoid screens before bed. You've read the books, you've tried the routines, you've done the CBT-I programs, you've followed every protocol you could find. And you're still here, still not sleeping, starting to wonder if you're the one person this doesn't work for. But I promise you, you're not. But there's a real reason nothing has stuck, and it's not what you think it is. So I'm Daniel. I spent 10 years with debilitating insomnia, and I spent over $180,000 trying to fix it. That's not an exaggeration. I saw over 25 doctors. I did 6 different sleep studies. I tried every medication, every supplement, every protocol that existed. And I know this list personally. I lived it, and I eventually found answers because I understood why focusing on all the external fixes were not going to ever be enough. That's what this video is about. So before I get into why everything you've tried to help with your sleep doesn't work, I want to point out a few through lines here, which is such a common trap for you who like to throw away money at the problem. Every single thing on 99% of people's list, the medications, supplements, the sleep hygiene, the CBT-I, is all aimed at the same target: the surface, the symptom of lack of sleep. Every approach is aimed at the symptom and not the root. None of them were designed to address what's actually driving the problem underneath. And until you address that, you can optimize the surface forever and nothing will actually stick. That's the honest answer. So let me tell you a question I ask all my clients. What is your system trying to tell you with this symptom of lack of sleep? This is the new framework to use if you want to get your sleep back for good. So let's dive into this. The first stop for most people struggling with sleep issues tends to be melatonin, supplements, medication, and you want that quick fix because you're too busy trying to crush it at work, but you never seem to find the answer. Why is that? Sleep medication sedates you, and sedation can feel like maybe you're resting, but sedation is not the same as the natural restorative sleep. So when you're sedated, your brain doesn't move through sleep stages the way it's designed to in REM sleep, the stage most critical for emotional processing, the creativity, the memory. It's often suppressed by common sleep medications. So you might be unconscious for 8 hours, but you still wake up feeling like unsure if you even slept. And the nervous system, creating that hyperarousal underneath in the first place, it's completely untouched using this medication. The medication doesn't speak to it. It bypasses it, which means the moment you stop taking it, or the moments it stops working, you're right back to where you started. Often worse now because there's a dependency layer on top of everything else. This isn't an argument against medications in acute situations. Sometimes you need a crutch. Sometimes you need to function while you do that deeper work. But the crutch was never the destination. The pill can knock you out. It cannot teach your nervous system that it's safe enough to rest. Look, so you're disciplined, you know how to build a system and stick to it. That's how you've been so successful. So when you found the sleep hygiene protocols, you actually followed them properly. And that's exactly why it's so frustrating when it actually hasn't helped much. Sleep hygiene is real. Like, some of it is genuinely important. Consistency of wake time, light management, temperature, the not using your bed as a workspace. These things have legitimate science behind it, and I recommend them at times. But here's where sleep hygiene breaks down. There are over 30 plus sleep hygiene recommendations circulating online. And when someone is struggling with chronic insomnia and they find that list and try to implement all of it, the rigidity itself becomes the problem. Every deviation from the protocol becomes a threat signal. The evaluation of whether you did everything right becomes its own source of anxiety. That routine designed to create safety starts creating pressure. And more importantly, the sleep hygiene addresses the environment and the inputs around sleep. It cannot address a system that has been running in a state of chronic threat for years. Are you hearing a theme? Your body doesn't need a cooler bedroom. It needs to feel safe. And no number of blackout curtains creates the safety your nervous system needs underneath when it's still running in survival mode. You can have a perfect bedroom and a completely dysregulated nervous system. The bedroom doesn't fix the system underneath. So this one I want to be careful about because CBT-I, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, is the gold standard for clinical treatment for sleep, and it's genuinely helpful for a decent percentage of people, and I'm not dismissing it. But think about this. You committed to CBT-I the same way you commit to everything. Completely. You showed up. You did the sleep restriction even when it was brutal. You trusted the process and you still hit a ceiling. That's not a failure on your part. Here's what's actually missing. What CBT-I does well is it breaks down the condition association between bed and wakefulness. It addresses those unhelpful beliefs of thoughts around sleep. The sleep restriction then consolidates fragmented sleep into more efficient windows. For people whose primary issue is the behavioral and cognitive, so CBT-I there can be genuinely helpful. But here's what it doesn't address. CBT-I works on your relationship to sleep. It doesn't work on what your nervous system learned to be afraid of. So for people who are already hypervigilant, overthinking, can't turn off, it's not just your relationship with sleep. And even then, sometimes it's not helpful. For people whose sleep struggles are rooted in years of unprocessed stress, emotional suppression, and a system trained to stay on, CBT-I is limited. You can complete the full program, improve your sleep efficiency metrics, and still feel like it's a foreign concept to get good rest because the deeper driver was never touched. And if CBT-I didn't work for you or didn't fully work, that's not a reflection of your commitment or your capacity to heal. It's a reflection of where CBT-I's design ends. CBT-I can change your relationship to sleep. It can't change what your system has learned to be afraid of. So a lot of you are spending thousands on tests just like I did. Then your blood work comes back and it's normal. Your sleep study showed nothing alarming and your doctor looked at everything and told you you're fine. Here's the thing. They're not wrong. The medical model is designed to identify pathology. Something's broken, something measurably outside of a normal range. And when you have a chronic sleep disruption rooted in something more emotional, psychological, stress-related patterns perhaps, most standard medical tests will show nothing because nothing is structurally broken. You're not sick in the traditional medical sense. You're dysregulated in the nervous system sense. And those are completely different problems that require completely different approaches. The doctor who told you everything was fine wasn't dismissing you. They were telling you the truth with the frame of what they were looking for. They just weren't looking in the right place. And that's not a criticism of medicine by any means. It's a recognition of where medicine's toolkit ends and where a different approach is needed to actually make change. So your doctor wasn't wrong. They were just looking in the wrong place. So for all you high achievers who feel like you've tried everything, I want you to understand this. Everything you've tried was likely trying to fix sleep, but sleep is not the problem. Sleep is just the symptom. The problem is a system that doesn't feel safe, regulated, at peace enough to let go into rest. And that dysregulation comes from something real, chronic stress that was never processed, emotions that have got pushed down to stay functional, years of living at a pace that left nothing in reserve, an identity built around performance that has no template for rest. Until you get real and address that, the actual root, you will keep finding the ceiling of whatever new surface level approach can do for you. You haven't failed at fixing your sleep, you've just been fixing the wrong thing. And here's what I want you to hear directly. If you've been doing everything, if you genuinely feel like you've tried everything and start wondering if you're the exception, you're not broken, you're not hopeless, you're actually the person who is most ready for the work that can actually make changes to their sleep for good. Because you've already ruled out everything else that was not the answer, which means you're closer than you think. The path forward here isn't another supplement or another protocol. It's understanding what's actually underneath. It's a nervous system, the emotional weight, the version of you that's been running on depletion and calling it normal. That's the work. That's the work that actually changes everything and not just your sleep, which is what I do in my sleep support program and in my coaching. So if you're curious to get to the root of your issues and heal your sleep for good, reach out and let's see how I can help. Either way, drop a comment below. I'm curious, what is the one thing you've tried that everyone said would work but didn't? Until next time, rest well.